On tonight's Cover One Buffalo podcast, we are joined as always by friend of the show, Tom Ernisse of Dolphins Talk. But first, our guys, Handsome Jack.
Broadcasting live to Bills Mafia worldwide with Greg Tompsett and Aaron Quinn.
Welcome to the NFL. Doesn't matter what's happened before today. Today's a brand new day. It's a brand new season.
Your number one podcast for objective Buffalo Bills coverage. No matter where you are, we've got you covered.
Good evening and welcome to the Cover One Buffalo podcast. You were joining your host, Greg Tompsett, along with my partner in crime, Aaron Quinn. Aaron, how we doing?
I'm doing well. As I told you here before we got on, I almost missed the show tonight just because I fell asleep a little bit doing bedtime with my youngest. And for the dads out there, they get it. You get down in that cozy bed, you read a story, and 5 minutes later, you're kind of lights out. Luckily, my wife did give me a heads up here. And
thank God for wives.
For the show. Absolutely do. Oh, amen. Preach that. Other than that, man, how you doing?
Good. I've been back home for like a full hour and a half. So crazy travel in the last week or so here. Another trip this week. I got home early this week. I got another stretch next week out on the West Coast. So really looking forward for this stuff to dial down. But this week turned it around fast. Obviously had the jet show on Sunday, and then I hit the road, and all of a sudden it was boom. We're flip back around.
Luckily it's a team we know pretty well, right? Like you didn't know a lot of the faces and the cast of characters here this week.
Yeah, and I did have Dolphins Patriots on the other TV on Sunday, so we were ready and prepared, but not as ready as our lovely guest. Every time we talk Dolphins, we bring on the team from DolphinsTalk, Mr. Tom Ernisse. How we doing, Tom?
I'm good, boys. Thanks for having me on again.
Of course.
Tom, real quick though, you told me in a DM last week that you were going to show up here with a paper bag on your head, and I thought that bit was going to stick for the week. And I won't lie, I'm a little disappointed we didn't just see a paper bag when you pulled you up here.
Would have been a good bit. It would have been a good bit.
What's going on, Tom?
I figured everybody would want to see my face.
Your
head is much better.
Listen, if I had the paper bag on, it wouldn't have come off for the entire show. So I figured I may as well just leave it off for the time being.
So obviously we talked pre-show, and I think this has been weird because normally, like all fan bases, there's some fun jabbing back and forth, and you never know how things are going to go. You know, all the cliches any given Sunday. So normally, especially with Dolphins fans, like, there's a lot of fun jabbing back and forth, and there's a lot of, the normal fun division rivalry stuff, and regardless of where things are at, but especially in the early season games, like before things have gone whatever direction. I've never seen, like, just 2 weeks into a season such a staunch direction from a fan base. How are things around Dolphins fans? Where are you sensing the vibe around the fanhood?
I felt like in week one, someone poured the gasoline. In week two, someone lit the match and ran off. Everything is burning right now in the world of the Miami Dolphins, the fan base, banners flying over the stadium to fire the head coach and the general manager after a week one loss. If this gets out of hand tomorrow, which I'm leaning that is going to be the case, it's only going to get worse. And until moves are made, it's going to get ugly, and Stephen Ross is going to see a lot of empty seats. Now, the Monday night game the following week is the rivalry jersey night, right? So they got a lot of hype. They sold out the the jerseys in the team store. Everybody's all hyped about it before.
I will say that the colors on the black is a pretty slick look. They actually did a pretty nice job.
They crushed those. They crushed those jerseys, and the fact is, they look black, but they actually are they're blue. Right. There's like a blue.
It's like a deep ocean blue.
It's deep ocean blue. The helmets look amazing. They did such a great job with the jersey, but it's going to suck going into that game 0-3. It's going to suck.
Real quick, I want to just clarify something you said that that Miami would not sell out games, but I do think actually that's pretty typical for Miami sports.
Um,
I want
Not
to.
just-
Hey, I'm
Just-
piling
just-
on while the getting's good.
the tickets sell. It
Sure.
doesn't mean they show up.
Fair.
Yeah, correct.
That's
But
fair.
I mean, it is a lovely place to be.
But I want to know, kind of as an outsider, right? Like I do pay attention to the AFC East, but I'm obviously so consumed in Bills news and stuff like that. And so a little bit as an outsider, talk to me, because I kind of saw sort of some of the chinks in the armor happening over last season.
Yep.
Like, how do you get into 2 weeks and we're here? Was there the signs over the summer? Is this a delayed sort of reaction happening real time for us, where like I see hot seats all the time, but it's like November, like late October, November, and it seems like the hot seat is on, and maybe even would have happened had there not been a Thursday night game necessarily right behind like a short week game, like you said. And now this will also present an opportunity for a firing to happen, but it seems like, man, there should have been some signs or warning of this prior to week 2 of the NFL season. I don't know. Did it come out of nowhere? What's your take on that?
It didn't come out of nowhere. It came the warts really came through week 18 last year against the Jets, when Tyreek Hill literally quit on his teammates after halftime. He refused to go back into the football game. You had Jalen Ramsey in the post game basically stating the same thing, like, I just don't want to be here. You have a lot of upset players. They jettison all those guys out of here except for Tyreek Hill, which may not be too much longer. But you could see that they lost the locker room. And then the next day, Stephen Ross says, we're going to continue to go with Chris Greer and Mike McDaniel. Okay, why? Right? You know, I've been a big McDaniel supporter. I liked his approach coming into Miami. I liked the way that the team was playing football for, 2022 and 2023.
The initial innovations were revolutionary. Like that burst motion was like, it was like wildfire.
Yeah, it was a fun time to be a Miami Dolphins fan.
Yeah,
watching this team play on both sides of the ball, and into 2024, teams just caught up to it, right? Just like everything else, like the Wildcat in 2008, it took a little time, but when teams figured out what to do, the window dressing stopped. But Mike McDaniel never changed. He didn't change any of the philosophy of what he wanted to do on offense, and teams are just dropping linebackers into the middle of the field.
Has not kept up. His offense doesn't seem to have kept up with the pace of NFL defenses right now.
No, not at all.
And just have to have a pivot and adjustment.
That's really the boiling point right now with the Dolphins is, you have Tua coming out after last week's game saying we're having an operational issue, and I have to sit with the head coach and my quarterback coach and figure out why we're having such a hard time getting play calls in late in the game. This is year 4 of the same problem. How do you not have an
offensive-minded head coach, right? Like that's the part that's supposed to be all locked up, right?
Correct. And, I give a lot of credit to Nick Sirianni. Nick Sirianni and Mike McDaniel, I think, have the same kind of mentality when it comes to the play call sheet. Sirianni gave it up. Eagles win a Super Bowl. McDaniel refuses to give it up. They keep losing football games. And the way that they do it is frustrating.
And I know, like Joseph here is asking, is this a trap game? And there, I will say, there are a ton of historical check boxes of, one team coming
spreads.
in 2-0, one team coming in 0-2. Everyone, assuming here, I think I saw something where one of the sports books said 99% of the money line money. Again, that's money line, was on the Bills, which of course, when you have I've seen it 10.5, 11.5, 12.5 spread, of course you're going to have that there. Division rivalry, lots of familiarity, all those things. There's a lot of traditional check boxes. We've had obviously go back to the playoff game before. Like we've had some weird games where the Bills were supposed to, win, and it's been much tougher than people hoped or expected. And I had mentioned pre-show, like I traditionally have always been very careful about that. Like, even if I kind of think it might get away, I'm like, I don't want to say it. I don't want to jinx things. I'm still have plenty of scar tissue from all of our years being just like where you are, hoping a coach gets fired, being caught in those in-between moments. The the approach that McDermott and Babich have consistently had with Tua, the way Josh Allen consistently plays against the Dolphins, the trajectory of these two teams right now, I genuinely don't see it. Like I don't see the scenario where this comes out that way. I do think there are so many things spiraling in Miami. Like I think I joked before, I think we're going to get a thank you card from Dolphins fans Friday morning because we're going to be the final straw that at least gets. And for your guys' sake, I kind of hope it's a package deal and that they just boot McDaniel and Greer together. I think just doing McDaniel is a disservice.
Greer's been there since 2001.
I think the longest.
He's been there since 2000. He's been general manager since 2016.
Dude, that wouldn't last.
Longest ever without a playoff win.
Yeah, I was gonna say that is your drought, right? Like he's been there for the whole drought. Yeah, they would.
Yeah, he was a college scout. He was a college scout when he first started, and then worked his way up the ranks.
Sure, but Bills fans would connect him to the entire drought. Like there became a point where we just wanted to get rid of everything associated with the decades associated to that period of time in football. But I have a question, sort of piggybacking off of that idea of the potential of a change coming up. As Dolphins fans, because how McDaniel sort of got his job was controversial too, right? With the way Flores was treated maybe in Miami and the way that whether or not he liked Tua, sort of in hindsight now, is Flores looked at differently a little bit by Miami fans? Is there, I know like for years when we would make coaching changes, people would change their tune about maybe a coach they previously disliked and wanted that person back or something like that. Has the tune changed around Flores at all? And that maybe Miami got it wrong and if Flores was right, Tua isn't the guy and they should have built the way he wanted to build this team? Or is it just kind of, hey, everything sort of happened and none of that's connected?
I feel like some of the fan base is like, he was right. Flores was right. Flores might've been right about Tua, but there was a lot of flaws with Brian Flores in his time in Miami. He treated people terribly. Okay.
Sure.
I mean, he was not the nicest guy in the building.
Historical breakdowns in terms of like start versus stop or stop versus, or he would like start slow and then get a winning streak going. There's a lot of
Spagnuolo to him. He's going to end up being a godsend for O'Connell where he's not going to be in charge, but when you let him just be like a little defensive demon over there that doesn't have to be in charge of anything and just doing that, he's going to do just fine.
Just let him run blitzes.
Yeah.
I'm a little curious. I guess one other question here. Do you think that'll be a path for McDaniel? Is that like when he's not the head guy and he could just go into just being like a little mad scientist off in the corner, just calling offense, but maybe being like with a Sean McDermott or a Mike Tomlin or like either a CEO coach or a defensive coach, look him confuse the crap out of people, get him with Mike McDonald.
Right now, just so you know, Tom, I'm going to just fill you in. Greg is just wish casting. This is what he has always wanted, is just some OC that didn't make it, that just wants to be an OC the rest of their life. Steve Spagnuolo.
I want my offensive Steve Spagnuolo. It's Shane Steichen's my number one draft pick, but now Indianapolis keeps winning. It's going to mess everything up. But I know Joe Brady's going to get a job this summer. I want one of the offensive coaches that gets fired that isn't going to get another head coaching job that can just come in and just give me like 5, 6 years, 7 years, just consistency.
I think with McDaniel, he's going to learn a lot in his time with the Dolphins. You can be a successful head coach, and he had success, right? McDaniel had some success, a very innovative offense that came into the league in 22 and then 23 even took off to greater heights before it came crashing down. So there's a lot of lessons that he's going to learn. Once he is relieved of his duties in Miami, 100% will end up being an offensive coordinator somewhere. Where that's going to be, I don't know. But I think a lot of teams might like what he can bring to the table. Now, maybe he won't be an offense coordinator out of the gate. Maybe they'll get him back into like run game coordinator, pass game coordinator, something along those lines before he makes the leap back up. I think he will be successful. He's a good guy. He's quirky as hell. But
super non-traditional in the football guys.
A leader of men is kind of where it's fallen off, right? He's lost the locker room. So I don't think there's going to be another team that's just going to hand him the keys to the kingdom, so to speak. But he will definitely be a coordinator somewhere next year.
Here, before we start talking sides of the ball and stuff like that, do you have any updates on the Dolphins injury report?
Jalen Wright is playing. He is good to go. Darren Waller is probably writing some rap songs. He won't be playing.
I freaking hope not. If anything, that could be the best thing Miami's done is make him not rap again.
Yeah.
How crazy is it that like now having Storm Duck being out is like, oh man, Storm Duck's out. Like,
yeah, I know. But hey, we got Ethan Bonner back. You know, hey, it's good. So yeah, Ethan Bonner is going to be playing. What he's going to be, I don't know if he's going to be starting. I think Jack Jones, Rasul Douglas will be the two starting defensive backs in the game. I don't know.
Well, Melifonu's out, right?
Yeah, Iffy Melifonwu is not playing. Aaron Brewer is a go. Benito Jones is questionable. Jalen Waddle's questionable, but he's going to play. Chop Robinson is good to go.
It sounded like Benito Jones was the most genuine questionable. Like,
yeah, he is truly questionable. We don't know. They don't know if he's gonna play or not. But
he's more a rotational rundown guy.
Yeah. They've been using him. I think Jordan Phillips got the start last week. I think we're going to see him start again, and probably Kenneth Grant also. So you're going to have two rookies on the interior.
Well, that's actually a great place to segue where I wanted to start on the defensive side of the ball anyway, is in watching the last couple of games. I don't know if you've seen this or this has been kind of conversation in Dolphins world or not, but from watching, one of the first things that stood out to me on this defense is those early downs. And it seems like many plays, they're just beat off the ball on the interior and teams are able to get some chunks on early downs. And that's sort of bleeding into some of the problems I think statistically you're seeing on third downs and things like that, is teams are getting into pretty good position. And I think that's actually plays into exactly what the Bills have shown to start the year of how they actually want to play football. I think they want to win those early downs with James Cook in the run game, get themselves into, because I think every team wants to do this, right? You know, run for 4 to 6 yards on first and get yourself in position to really start to dictate. But it seems like Miami hasn't really fought hard against stopping teams in that. Do you expect some changes in how they're defending? Or are we going to see some maybe more run blitzes until teams prove they're not going to just run it on first and second down? Is it the problem that I'm making it out to be?
Oh, it's 100% a problem. Their defense is outside of 2 stops last week against the Patriots and 2 kneel downs against the Patriots. That is their 4 stops on defense for the season.
Yeah.
They legitimately gave up 10 consecutive scoring drives to start the season. So they've got a lot of work to do. Now they did make second half adjustments last week against the Patriots where they did have some success, where they were showing more exotic looks, sending odd man rushes. They were getting home on Drake May for majority of the second half. So I can see the Dolphins doing that. Part of the problem that they've also found is that they're running, like you said, Aaron, they're running in the teeth of the defense and they're getting moved off the ball pretty well. One of the changes I would hope to see is Willie Gay get more time. He played 2 snaps. 2 snaps. He didn't play any in week 1. And the 2 snaps he did play against the Patriots, they were impactful. So I would like to see him get more of a run at linebacker in this game.
Would that be in place of Dotson or alongside Dotson in the run?
I think replace Dotson.
Okay.
But
Dotson's strength too, a little bit, right downhill.
Yeah, but he has not been playing well at all for the first 2 weeks. So
PFF would say otherwise, but yes, I agree. It didn't look great.
No, he hasn't looked good, and I think they have to do something, right? Yeah. On a short week, you want to try something different. Get Willie Gay in there, get Tyrell Dotson as the rotational guy, and see what you can get, right? If you can make some stops early, maybe force Buffalo to punt and not give up a score on the opening drive like they have the first 2 weeks, maybe we can see a little bit of a difference from the offensive side of the ball, but the defense has to dictate this game. If they allow exactly what they've allowed the first 2 weeks of the year, it's going to be a bloodbath.
Yeah, sort of on that note, you talked about them dialing up some pressures late. Do you think that is something I sort of noticed? And in the beginning of the game, I kind of documented like really struggling to get pressure, right? And that's not going to work against Josh Allen.
No.
But like in preparation, you're trying to defend yourself from going 0-3. You sort of got to throw everything at the wall, right? You're in desperate mode, your back's against the wall. Do you think that'll lead into an uptick of that type of aggression here early in this game? Or are they going to be concerned that that type of play against Josh Allen could really get out of control and not even allow you to get close in this game? If you blitz him and he beats you on some of the big explosives, like how do they balance that of being a team desperate to get a win, but also not kind of overly with a great quarterback where you could really tip the scales in his favor?
You have to try it. You have to. I know. I mean, Josh Allen's a world beater. He smacks the crap out of the Dolphins every time they play each other. But the Dolphins have to do something against the grain to start this football game. They have to send the odd man. They have to send the blitzes, and maybe force a hurried throw. Maybe force Josh Allen out of his comfort zone a little bit. Has to throw the football away because there's nothing available. They have to try it. If they wait to try it after halftime, it might be too late. It might be 21-3 at halftime. You got to start it early. And I think doing something that you're not accustomed to doing might throw the Bills off a little bit to start the game before they make their adjustments. You got to try it.
Yeah. So one thing I like to really do whenever I do this is pretend that I'm the coordinator on that side of the ball as I'm scouting and kind of ask the guest of what area that I found that I would attack if I'm right or not. And so what I found for Miami in this area is for the Bills offense to attack with tight ends against this linebacker room. And I think that you can really do so, especially the way I've seen Kincaid and Knox. I know Knox had his drops last week, and we can talk about that with Bills fans, but how I've seen Miami's linebackers in coverage, I would, outside of that, what I said on those first and second downs of trying to get ahead of the chains, on second and short, I would take the seam. If Terrell Dotson's going to be in there, get Kincaid on a guy like that, make him turn his back and run with a Kincaid. I would spam at that all day long. Is that the plan of attack to attack this Miami defense? Is in the air, right in the middle of this defense?
Yeah, I think in my fandom, I'm on year 29 of this team not able to defend tight ends. It's ugly, right? Tyler Warren in week 1, the Colts used him in an array of ways, and the Dolphins had no answers. I think he had like 11 targets in game 1. He had like 8 or 9 catches for 70, 80 yards. Like they used him all over the place. So I would not be surprised in seeing the Bills attack the Dolphins in the middle of the defense with the tight ends, with Knox, with Kincaid, and sprinkle in some wide receiver drag routes through the middle and force those linebackers to try to make a play. That is a big weak spot, and I'll go a step further. You can just throw the ball up the field towards the sidelines, and you'll have long completions against the secondary. A little bit better last week. Rasul Douglas played his first game. Didn't have a bad game. Wasn't great, but didn't have a bad game. Jack Jones he's struggling. Ife Milifanu, who's not playing in this game, was awful the first 2 weeks at safety. They're going to try to play Dante Trader Jr., 5th-round pick out of Maryland, next to Minka Fitzpatrick to see what they have there.
It's such a bummer for
if it's Ashton Davis, then it's
toast.
There's more problems.
Yeah, it's such a bummer about Milifanu. I loved him so much.
I liked him a lot in Detroit.
In the draft, I loved him a little bit in Detroit. And if you would have told me, 4 or 5 years ago, that the Miami safety room would be Minka Fitzpatrick and Milifanu, I would have been like, oh my God, like drooling for a safety room like that. But he just hasn't totally hit the way I thought he would. But man, I love that athletic profile he's got.
Yeah, he can't stay healthy. Par for the course for the Dolphins.
Yeah. So let's flip over to the other side. And, up front, we'll start with the offensive line. I think there's been, some good news, bad news of things. I think the good news is it seems like Patrick Paul might actually be something that works here out of tackle. I think that's been a positive, but certainly, we'll give it a shot here. But in the second round, you bring in Savaiinaea, and having him off to a really rough start, being able to get started there, giving up a lot of pressures, technically no sacks, but an awful lot of pressures coming through. Yeah. We all know how important it is for Tua to have time, and even with the quick trigger of the offense here, I know losing Austin Jackson was a challenge, and now you have Borum coming in. How is that? Brewer and Paul kind of seem like the like things to cling to here, but we all know offensive line can often be kind of a weak link unit, and if they're going to keep going at Savaiinaea and Borum, do you think they're going to be able to scheme around that? Is it keeping in tight ends to chip? Is it using the running backs to help support more? How are they going to be able to kind of keep that protection plan together and to keep Tua upright?
I think they have to rely on Julian Hill, who is more of a blocking tight end than anything else. They have to have him on the field more than I would like, but that's what you need at this point when you have Larry Borum as your right tackle, Keon Smith as your right guard. And as much as I like Savaiinaea, he is a rookie and he is struggling, and I think, over the course of time, will it get better? Yeah, I think it'll get better. I liked his tape in college. I thought he was a solid pick. But sometimes we put so much, as fans, we put so much pressure on these high round draft picks out of the gate and not let them develop. And we just try to give up on him too quick. I think he'll be fine. But Greg, you hit the nail on the head with Patrick Paul. He looks like a man among boys and a lot of the pass blocking snaps, and he's moving people off the ball on the ground as well. Teron Armstead taught him well so far. He's looking the part, and I've enjoyed watching him up front on the offensive line, but it is still a problem in Miami. It hasn't changed, and it's hard to scheme around it when your head coach removes the run game from the equation just because you give up a touchdown on the opening drive. And that's frustrating for me because the Dolphins have a really solid running back with Devon Achane. Like, he is electric. If he gets to the second level, he's even harder to bring down. He plays with a lot of power for such a smaller running back. He's very elusive, but he does stay upright. He bounces off tacklers consistently. Jalen Wright hasn't proven much, and they haven't really run Ollie Gordon.
I was going to say there was a lot of buzz around Ollie Gordon in the preseason, and a lot of guys liking him and how he looked in camp. That's where I was going to go next. Obviously, we've seen moments in the highlights with Achane and how impossible he is to get into space or to get down when you're in open space. And then you have, whether they use Wright, but some of the excitement around Gordon, that's certainly one way to keep this game competitive is to, long sustained drives, keep Josh Allen on the bench, try to be able to keep, moving the ball down the field. If Achane breaks a big play, that's great. But you would think that you would want to funnel more there. And I know we haven't seen it as much this year, but with the speed of Waddle, Hill, even Washington, with some of the jet sweep game and things like that, I would think that you'd go there. But I know you talked about getting away from it so quickly last week. That's got to be the anxiety or fear here is if they were to win the toss or if the Bills start with the ball and get out to a lead, are they going to have the discipline to stick to it?
No, they won't. Until proven otherwise, he gets pass happy and they want to get back into the game as quickly as possible. So you move away from your strength, and really the strength is your play action passing. If Achane, and he's had success against the Bills. I just go back to last year's game in Buffalo, that close game that Bass hit that 60+ yard field goal to win it. Yeah. Achane was incredible in that football game. And I think if they can get the chunk yards, if they can stick to the ground game, like you said, Greg, that can keep, the Bills, offense on the sideline for a period of time. It keeps the Dolphins defense off the field because that's been a problem because they haven't been good the first 2 weeks. So sustaining drives, putting points on the board, putting a little bit of pressure on your opponent can go a long way, but that starts on the ground. And then that opens up the play action passes. Because if the Bills are going to drop the linebackers in coverage, because they've done such a great job with Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle in these previous couple of years matchups by taking away the strength of what they do, which is the in-breaking routes. And if the Bills are going to drop the linebackers into coverage, you're going to play the safeties up a little bit and take away those intermediate throws, which is what Tua's strength was. Run the football. Get 4 or 5 yards a clip.
Runs, screen games, use our aggression against us. Get Achane out there in the screen game.
Yes. 100%. One of my favorite offseason things was Tyreek Hill complaining about how the Bills play defense against Miami, but then also being wrong in the types of coverages that the Bills run against Miami. Kind of goes to show you maybe there's a bigger problem there.
Well, yeah, it's a bigger problem because he also said this summer that I finally understand the playbook. Bro, you've been here 3 years.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
I do think he has gotten by with some insane elite athletic ability.
Just God-given ability.
Just for years where like catch
when you
run.
can just run by everyone else.
He's fantastic on the football field, and I'm sorry that they're probably going to trade him back to Kansas City.
I'm going to be so annoyed when you guys send him to Kansas City. I'm so annoyed.
My sleeper is somehow the Ravens. He feels like an end career in Ravens type of thing.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's a different story.
Different story to run with. Maybe after this game we can talk about it further.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. We'll find somebody else who needs a receiver. So Tom, you know how it goes. Whenever we have guests on here, our friends over at Southern Tier Brewing Company, they want to know what's brewing, what you expect in this game. Give us your thoughts on what we're going to see tomorrow night and a score prediction.
Thoughts and prayers for my beloved Miami Dolphins. I love them dearly. This is the type of game that I look at and I say, this could be the game that surprises me for the way the first 2 weeks went. It could be the game where the Dolphins come out and they punch. They punch the Bills in the mouth. Maybe they get an early touchdown, get an early lead. Buffalo kind of struggles a little bit out of the gate, and the game stays close. And then a part of me thinks, that ain't gonna happen. The Dolphins have not shown anything this year to say that they're going to stop anybody on defense. They still don't know how to get plays in on time. Year 4 for the coach, year 6 for the quarterback. That's a problem. And it's going to continue to be a problem, especially in a hostile environment. It's the final time the Miami Dolphins are going to the Ralph. And I'm probably going to Ralph the entire game. Personally, the Bills are going to win this game 38-17, mercifully ending, hopefully, the Chris Greer era in Miami.
I hope not, but I respect it.
I know you got the Wicked Witch keep Greer in the background.
That's it.
That's it. Oh my God.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, Tom. Like I said, I normally am much closer to. I trust the guys in Vegas. I know, technically they have it at a 48 over under. Or some places up to 50 with 11.5 spread. So they're kind of looking at 26, 27-14 kind of game, something along those lines. But I don't see it. I think that Josh Allen's track record here has been so consistent. Their ability to relatively contain, Achane's been by far the most dangerous guy that they've been able to mostly contain Hill and Waddle. And now it seems like the Bills' pass rush and pressure has been a little bit more consistent here. Joey Bosa's healthy and playing really well. I think they stop him a couple of times. I think that they stop him a few times, but the Bills, I think, score pretty consistently. I've got it like 5 touchdowns, 2 field goals. I think we're going to see like 41-13, and I do think that we mercifully bring this era to an end for you. The 10 days in between games, it makes a lot of sense. If you have an embarrassing division loss to go 0-3, I think it's going to be that like final straw that breaks the camel's back and lets the owner make the call.
Yeah. And
Aaron?
Yeah. Before you say anything, Aaron, I just have to say, I could also see McDermott go, let's keep it close. Let's keep Daniel in Miami. Let's keep him.
Could we have that Joe Milton moment? We did screw over the Patriots in Week 18 last year. They could have had a trade down and Abdul Carter and this big cachet of draft picks to do there. They end up dropping to 4th and needing to take Will Campbell and
nothing McDermott
maybe we screwed.
Do this early. It's just going to delay, I think, the inevitable. So where I came to this game was like you talked about it earlier, Greg, of everything does sort of reek of trap, but that only works if this desperate team that has their back against the wall is going to get up and play for the coach and the things that could potentially be lost in this endeavor. And I don't get the vibes from when watching, I paid a lot of attention to the sidelines. I paid a lot of attention to the reactions. I paid a lot of attention to how this team looked because we're hearing so much. And I do think, Tom, you nailed it. I think the locker room is lost. And I don't think that they are playing for one another on this team. I think they're playing for contracts, for film, for all the things professionals play for, but it's almost a little bit of the opposite of a lot of what we hear out of Buffalo. And I don't know that teams that don't have that sort of gel can be backed into a wall and then perform the big task of taking down a team that is on paper a better team. And so you guys are a little crazier than me though. I thought I was going crazy because I don't pick big spread games. I think the NFLs are usually the close games. So this is probably, I got to look back at some of my picks, one of my bigger picks, and you guys blew me out of the water, but I have it here. Same as our longtime watcher here that's always here, Sweet Spike. I have it 31-17 Buffalo Bills. I think that's like right on the money for Vegas of sort of where they're at. And I think the Bills probably could do more, but I do think we'll see some Mitch Trubisky. I think we will see some resting guys late into this game where it's just a really boring fourth quarter and we're setting up hopefully for an early post-game show, Tom. We got to get on here on post-game and do a show. So hopefully there's a lot of running the ball.
Hey, same on my end, but you guys are probably going to have a lot more fun than me.
I hope. No offense. You know what, though, Tom, what I will say, for having done these for years in these post-game shows, it's the highs and the lows that are fun. Sure. The like medium games where it's like, oh, okay, they won another one or whatever. It's like when you have a heartbreaking loss or a coach firing type of loss, your chat room's going to be bumping. You will have fun. It will be therapeutic. Or like the big victories. Like those are the big swings are the ones that make it worth it.
Yeah, it's been very therapeutic to just let out all the anger for the first 2 weeks. This one's just going to kind of be, it's expected at this point.
Get it over with.
If I get surprised in this game, like I said, what if it was a last second field goal ditch effort that the Dolphins lose this game? I might come on here like it was 2019 again and go, hey, we're close. We're getting better. But no, it's not going to happen. So
just go look at Patrick Paul's wingspan. Just bask in the glory of his 87-inch wingspan.
It's the face mask that gets me with him.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
So let the folks know what you have coming up next and what your team over DolphinsTalk's got going on.
There's a lot going on at Dolphins Talk. We got a ton of shows. We got interview spots every single week. We've had a lot of big guests all summer, all fall. DolphinsTalk.com. We have a Discord chat that we started up early this year, Dolphins Talk Extra. Very inexpensive to get in there. Obviously, Bills fans probably don't want to get in there, but for $3, you can definitely have some fun ridiculing us to death in the chat rooms.
Yeah, don't tempt.
Careful with the Bills Mafia, buddy.
Yeah, there's people listening to this who will do that. And a quick shout out. I had the chance to have Marissa on the show here. She's done an awesome job booking some really great guests for you guys. That was a really great find for you guys. She's a real talent.
Yeah, I can't thank her enough. She took a little bit of time off a couple years ago with us, decided she wanted to come back, and she's knocked the ball off the cover. She has been fantastic, and we're happy to have her with us.
Nice.
Awesome. We appreciate you, Tom. Wish you all the best. Hopefully some health. Keep the young guys healthy. Get a good evaluation for them this year, and we'll get back to more fun rivalry in the future.
Maybe 2 years. We'll see.
We appreciate you, man.
Take care, babe.
See you, buddy.
Oh, I feel so much. We had so many years in the position that Tom was in, where and again, I think there was a glimmer of hope coming into this season. There was the need for health. Like, hey, what if they do stay healthy? You never know. Like when Tua is healthy and playing well, they do win games. Like there are stats that show you that when he's playing and healthy, they actually put up numbers and win games. And to have it go downhill so quickly. And that initial game with the Colts, and again, the Colts looked good last week. They beat Denver. Maybe they're a little bit more game than people thought in that first week, and maybe they're going to be a sneaky surprise team for this year, and that loss won't look quite as bad. But they got thrashed by the Colts, just absolutely destroyed, and then should have won that game against New England. They had that game multiple times and given up the weird back-to-back returns late in that game. They had multiple opportunities to close that game out, and to lose to what I think is a bit of an overrated Patriots team. I think that there's a real chance that we're going to do them a favor tomorrow night and give them the painful, embarrassing enough loss to boot Greer and McDaniel both out the door.
Yeah. I want to preface my thoughts here with I hate this time of year. I put a post about it, right? Like even like there's good parts of data that we can get, but like the data sets aren't very good. The teams, we still don't know who these teams are. And the only reason I'm saying this is because I don't think any of that stuff applies to this Miami Dolphins team, because I do think I followed this team closely enough throughout the years where I do think we should have seen this coming. And that's kind of where my questions to Tom tonight were a little bit leading in that. And if you look at my subline here under my name, it says I knew it. And what I mean by I knew it is I knew Mike McDaniel was kind of a bit of a fraud in terms of a head coach. And Greg, you get into all the chats that I've been saying for years when people are buffing him up as a, well, yeah, but he's this offensive mastermind, which I don't disagree with. I've seen that on tape that he can build a good offense and do some cool things. I never thought that this guy could lead men. From the moment I heard him talk, I didn't think he could lead an organization of men on a mission. And people can say whatever they want about Sean McDermott and his corny, and he's obviously the Tyler Dunn article point out some negative things, but you look at the way people within the organization, with the people around the league, people that have gone on to other organizations and come back to the Buffalo Bills, the way they talk about this, the way Joey Bosa is talking about rejuvenating his football career and getting along with these guys, and it's so different here. All of that stuff that we don't quantify on sheets of data and things like that, this is where it matters. 4 years ago, everybody thought the Miami Dolphins were going to overtake the division and McDaniel was the best coach in the league and Sean McDermott deserved to be fired. And history is going to go down as Sean McDermott having much more success, a much longer tenure, much more sustainable organization. This was really this rendition of this Miami team, if it is going to sort of crumble this year, was a flash in the pan, Greg, in terms of like NFL. It was like really 2.5 years maybe of they are some kind of threat. So with all those things being said, that is sort of where I don't think this is a case of that early season, like last year's Saints, where everybody was like, oh, maybe the Saints are a thing. Cause it was like 3 weeks of like, okay, so this isn't
Colts, actually.
That's the Colts issue. Yes. But I think, and some teams have where maybe Miami fans are talking themselves into, where it's like, okay, we started kind of slow and we just got to get our bearings and we could still be that team. We just got to get healthy. I don't see it in this rendition of Miami. I do think he's lost the locker room. And I think once you've lost that, there isn't a culture and there isn't that sustainable foundation for the organization. I don't think you just get it back with that guy in the building.
Yeah. When you add in, there's a good discussion going on. Connor and Kel in the chat, we're talking back and forth. This rivalry, since Josh Allen has kind of come of age, isn't a rivalry.
It's a hammer versus a nail. Yeah,
it's 13-1 in the last 14 games, and the one game was the crazy like sunstroke game where people were literally passing out on the sidelines and having to
Josh
get IVs.
Another 45 seconds in that game. Even I think the Bills win. He was about to win that game.
They're pretty close to being 14-0 instead of 13-1. I just, again, there are tons of trap game hallmarks here. Sean McDermott has to do a fantastic job keeping them focused, not letting them overlook this. But this is one of those games where if the Dolphins jump out early, I won't be nervous. But okay, it's fine. We'll be able to come back. If the Bills jump out early, this one will unravel so quickly. Like that team, there's a lot of different movie lines and things like that. But, that team's got a lot of quit in them. And they are going to be looking for excuses to quit real early, real immediate. And if we jump out, if we like how we opened up with the Jets, if God forbid we get like 3 and out touchdown, fumble touchdown, we could go on a real gross game that could turn real ugly. So, never know. They have explosive athletes. Devon Achane can break any play. Waddle Hill, they can do some stuff. This could open up competitive, and it could take the Bills a little while to put it away. But if it opens up the other way and we jump out early, this could unravel real fast on them.
There is a path where maybe there is more cohesion in that locker room than I know as an outsider.
They could galvanize against him. I don't think it's around him. I don't think there's anyone galvanizing around McDaniel. There could be like, hey, we care about each other. Screw that guy. We can do it for each other.
Even the idea that like this is the season, right? Like you're not going to go off and win every single game, but if you lose this third in a row, start planning for Cancun. Over. Your season's over. Put some film on and get to Cancun. And so I think for that reason, you might get a better but I think that type of motivation is a flash in the pan. That's where my 31-17, like I could see it being, hey, they come out and give you a shot and like they have some adrenaline and they gave a rah speech and they're ready to go. But I don't think playing with the team that, in my opinion, is also just almost suffocatingly better in all phases of the game, especially on the offense and defensive line. I don't think that can last for 4 quarters too. So like you might be able to get a shot or two in on us early, on the Bills early, and get to that. Maybe they score 10 points early and it's a close game going into halftime or something like that. But then I think when we get into the third quarter and we start pounding on those lines, I don't think they'll hold up.
It could be even like 10-10 at one point. Like, oh man, they're right in this and hanging with us, and all of a sudden we pull away.
Yeah.
So our friends over at William Mattar Law Offices, you guys know the slogan, hurt in a car, call William Mattar, 844-444-4444. They want to know who is here to help, and I think I'm very pleased to see that the injury report, it seems like they're taking a very conservative approach. There's no reason to push anybody that's dinged up here. We know that we have already declared both Matt Milano and Ed Oliver out. It sounds like Taron Johnson's going to play, but both Taron Johnson and Cam Lewis are on the injury report here. Where is your head as far as what we're expecting, if we need to have somebody else step in the nickel, or if we, end up at Shaq Thompson was a little dinged up here, another guy who would need to step in for Milano, that middle group here, whether it's an extra linebacker, whether it's a guy there, they do have speed on defense. We do need to be conscious of it there. Where do you think we'll see maybe even the Jordan Hancock debut? What's your thoughts on what we see in the middle of the field tomorrow night?
Yeah, I know Hancock was also limited in practice as well,
limited, right? But full participant the last couple days. Sounds like he is no designation, not even questionable. He is full go.
Okay. But Taron is designated as questionable, or
Taron was limited all 3 days and listed as questionable. Cam Lewis limited all 3 days, listed as questionable. Shaq Thompson limited all 3 days, listed as questionable. And again, Monday and Wednesday were walkthroughs. Those are representations of they could hold somebody out, just precaution, and use the mini bye after this to come back for week 4.
Yes. I think on a short week, this is an interesting one, especially at those positions you mentioned, because obviously Milano's out. And so these are actually positions that I feel good on paper about the depth, right? Like Milano's out. I feel pretty good about Dorian Williams for a game like this, or Dorian Williams for a stretch of weeks. Like I have my problems with Dorian Williams, but I think he's a starting caliber player that is a great insurance policy. I also feel really great about Shaq Thompson as linebacker 3, filling in for Dorian Williams.
I don't think Jim Jack's question's crazy. I do think it's much more likely that Dorian Williams is the guy that steps in, but I don't think I think it's a fair question of would they consider Shaq Thompson in those roles. But the challenge is this isn't the 4 or 5 years ago, Shaq Thompson, who was fantastic in coverage and able to drop all over the place and had a season with all pro votes. Like, he's just not that guy anymore. So
There's
now
more juice than I anticipated this summer.
oh, yeah.
And I think that
Yeah,
he's a guy
made the
that
active roster, is playing.
I think he could play that Dorian Williams role here for
Yeah.
a spell of time. If Matt Milano does need a little bit of extended time, I think that he can play that role fine. I think he could even step in if another linebacker goes down and play a little bit more than I anticipated. But
He's more versatile between the two. I think Shaq Thompson could step in either way. I know the chat's asking about Buffalo Joe. He is only a middle linebacker, run defense only guy that would be a fill-in for Terrell Bernard. But I think they would go to Shaq Thompson for Bernard before they went to Buffalo Joe.
I think Buffalo Joe is the I think there's probably some practice squad stuff that they might even want before Buffalo Joe. I don't think they want to put Buffalo Joe in at linebacker in coverage.
Great in special teams. And I'm even fine in like obvious rundowns. He has a good eye for the football and run defense. We do not want him in coverage. He is not ready to be a coverage guy in the NFL.
Yeah. I think it's going to be Dorian Williams. I also don't think this team's going to change the depth chart for this game. And it seems like everything that we've seen that Dorian Williams is that next slotted in guy for this type of situation. So I think it's there. Taryn is an interesting one with the quad injury. Even if he can go, I'd
prefer him not to. I'd prefer they sit him
for this game. It's a weird one. Also having Cam Lewis in a similar situation, because depth wise though, I'd feel pretty good if it was Cam Lewis just stepping in. Sure. I don't know how I feel if it is Jordan Hancock that has to go in that role. I guess baptism by fire, this could be a good game for it. I was a little disappointed in how Hancock looked at sometimes here this preseason. I don't know that he's ready to be thrown into that position, but these are interesting questions to me because this is how
fairness,
quickly
Dorian Strong looked pretty good when we had to force him in game one.
Yeah, he looked all right. And the slot though is the one spot where I think Mike McDaniel offense could really, like, if it is Hancock, I don't want to.
So much communication, handoffs between the different guys.
Yeah, I'd feel much better if it was Cam Lewis, just from the pure standpoint of how long he's been in this defense, the communication with the guys that he's had to work with. I trust in that stuff. It's just. These are interesting conversations, Greg, to me, because we talk about like game day active and how you balance a roster, and you can feel really deep in a spot until you're not, right? Like until a couple of guys pop up on the injury report and it's like, oh man, we might have to pop a rookie in here. And it's just that interesting battle that no matter how deep you try to make something, you're just at the whims of attrition in the NFL a little bit.
Yeah, Kay Mori had a good point there, and John was talking about, maybe being a little cocky of not wanting Taryn to play. That's just the reality of it. Like, we have to be able to trust the Bills are going to take care of this. It's been quite a while since we've stubbed our toe with one of these games. I know people go back to like the Urban Meyer game, which actually, like, there's a reason that one sticks out for all the flaws that Sean McDermott has. There are plenty of things you can debate about winning the big one, getting over the Chiefs in the playoffs, the big moments in those things. The Bills are consistently very, very good at beating the teams they're supposed to beat. That's why I feel as comfortable about this game tomorrow night as what I do. There are very, very few of these. I know we had the Broncos game a little while ago.
Sure.
There's been a couple here or there that have been some weird ones.
That Giants one almost was, right?
Yeah, they've gotten close, but they've, for the most part, been able to take care of the games they're supposed to. And the percentages will show you it is, very, very high in the upper 80%. Actually, I think the one stat that I saw that they take care of business here. And especially when you have one where there's a team that's spiraling as badly as Miami is, there's just not much for them to rally around to
right
come
now,
back to this game.
ESPN's analytics matchup predictor has it at 76.4 for the Bills to win this one. So to your point, just go handle your business. There was a comment here I wanted to bring up. Mary C said, this is no offense to Mary C or your thought here. She says, Taryn said he is playing. I didn't see that. I do believe that. I also, that's unfortunately not up to Taryn.
No, that works.
The job of the trainers and the staff to protect the players from themselves. And I think he will want to play if he's healthy. Right. But I don't know that
he did say he's ready to go.
Yeah,
he did say he's ready to go.
Yeah, it's a long season.
So correct. It would not shock me if the team was cautious with that. I'm confident he feels like he's ready to go. But I won't be shocked if they're cautious in the way that they approach it.
Yeah.
All right. We got a couple good questions there. If anybody else has any other questions to throw in the chat here, we're going to bring up fantastic producer Colin Ritchie to be able to ask us some of the best questions in the chat. We've already got a few set up here. Let us know if you have any more to add in. Colin, how are we doing?
Doing great, guys. How are you?
Doing well. It's been a good night. Ready for Dolphins week. I'm already thinking about what steak I'm going to grill up tomorrow night. It's gonna be good.
Yeah, ready to squish the fish tomorrow.
Yeah. All right, let us have it.
Sure. So we got James Leclerc asking over under 1 punt for Buffalo tomorrow.
No, just barely. I very specifically had it in mind. I think that the Dolphins stopped the Bills twice. I think that there's about 9 drives, I'm going to guess, in the game. I think we score 7 times. They stop us twice. We'll see 2 Cameron Johnston punts. I still have to get used to the fact that that's our punter because we have a in-season puntapalooza. So I'll go just barely over, but 2 punts for Cameron Johnston.
Yeah, I agree. I think it might even be just like a couple late ones where it's like Trubisky's in and they're running out clock and not picking up first downs. But I do think it's over.
Here, I'll slide this one in before Colin jumps to the next one. I like this one in the chat. Aaron, tell us, what would the recipe have to look like if Miami were to pull off an upset? And I think he's right. It would have to be like a HN historic career game.
Yes, and I think if HN is playing well, I do think
that leads to a play action shot.
I think, I think Tua is actually better on that type of stuff that people give him credit for. If it's just like hitting a long ball, like he's not a power passer, he doesn't have big arm strength, but because of what they can do when they have success in the run game, that would be my concern. Is like HN gets going, the Bills start to sell out for that run a little bit, and Waddle
it's
hits
not
you
crazy
over the top.
for our safeties to bite and to come up and let somebody get behind them.
And honestly, as like excited as I was with Trey White's performance in the run game, and showing some physicality, and it was good to see him out there. We didn't see the corners tested really last week.
Yeah, that was way more Justin Fields than Trey White.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. If there's an opportunity for them to get Waddle on Trey White in one of those situations where he's running step for step with them, I think then we'll actually see where Trey White's at in coverage. And that could be eye-opening maybe for Bills fans a little bit, who are happy to see Trey back here this weekend. But that would be the path to them would be HN having that type of game. I think he's that playmaker for that offense, but then building off of that, opening up the long ball for them.
All right, next one, Kyle.
All right, we'll go back to special teams now. Someone, Tank Ninja 1, asking, could this be a big Brandon Codrington game? Your thoughts on that, and maybe Price is Right rules without going over. What's your prediction for longest return that he gets tomorrow?
I'll let you start this one there.
I think it could be. I'm actually loving the NFL's new kickoff.
100% agree.
This is way cooler. I was very skeptical about it just because like I've lived through so many of these, like, oh, we're going to make this change and it's going to do better things. And it like rarely changes much, right? Like we saw changes in the past and didn't move the needle. This one's substantially moved the needle, and it's a play.
77% return rate. It's been awesome. It's been so much fun.
And it's mattered in these Bills games, like where you look at where their starting field position is versus the other teams, and like Sam Franklin making a real impact in games on the return side of not allowing returns. So it's become a major play, and I do think Codrington has a good game. I'm going to say his big return for the night, a 42-yard return.
I like it. I was going to say 39, so we're right there together.
Okay, and then finally from Bills PR, I have Josh Allen's total touchdowns against the Dolphins versus the next 3 teams he's scored the most touchdowns against. How many touchdowns do you think Josh Allen has against Miami in his career?
Okay. I think I saw the
Googleplex. Is Googleplex the biggest number? That's what
I think I saw where he's coming up on like the youngest to score something. All right, Dolphins 14 games.
How many games has it been? It's 14.
14. I think 14. I think I saw 13 and 1. And I'm pretty sure those are all Josh's games. The last 4. No, that's the last 14. I don't. That's a playoff something? Game or 2.
Is it 50 something? Is it less than 50?
It's less than 50, but you're not far off, Aaron.
Yeah, okay. I would have put it. I would have said like, well, like that many games. He's had plenty that are more than 3. I think
there's been games that are closer to and not as high scoring as you think.
I'll say 44.
Oh, Greg, so close. He's at 45, 40 passing,
Okay.
5 rushing. And then just for perspective, the next 3 below that are 29 against New England and then 24 against the Jets and the Chiefs.
So 45 compared to the next being 29 and 24. Like that's
So does
he
Haley
has
have her own personal
dominated them.
suite at Hard Rock when we go down there? The Allen suite. That's a lot. That's a lot of touchdowns against one team. I actually thought the rushing would be higher because I know he's had some like pretty good rushing days against them. So that's why I thought it would be closer to that 50 number. But man, 45, that's impressive.
Yeah.
It's wild. Wow. Then I'll pull up one more here from the chat. Connor asking, what do you think about Bobby Babich and the defense so far? Particularly, do you think this defense has played more aggressively compared to last season? Obviously, the results have been nice. We've had impactful plays. We've had last week, a lot of pressures, but even like coming up big when they played very poorly to start against Baltimore, coming up with the big plays when it mattered, really getting to Lamar a couple times, causing the fumble late with Henry, and then last week, dominant performance. I've been happy to see that they've done more of those simulated pressures. And when they blitz, they send a lot of guys. We use timely run blitzes with the corners. So I like the variation that we've seen so far. If you want to call that aggression or aggressively, I can see that. But I've liked the variation and the variety that we've seen so far.
I am having a tough time figuring out the answer to that question. Once I came out of the I'm posting memes and highlights of how much fun all that stuff was and went back and watched that game, the Jets stink. They're not a good football team. And I think the Bills are a good football team that played exactly how they should play against the team like the Jets. And it looked like what it should look like. But I think that sets some false optics here when you have a 2-game sample size, right? And so we're coming off high. It looked exactly what you want it to look like. That Jets team's not very good right now and where they're at. And I think that it might look similar to this week because of all the reasons that we talked about. Like this,
because I don't think the Dolphins are very good either.
Miami is also not looking very good right now.
I would say the Dolphins are more talented.
There's more talent.
But the Jets have a better locker room, so the Dolphins are going to be ready to quit faster than the Jets. Where I think the Jets wanted to go, but
Jets are in their infancy. They want to play well for this coach. They don't have the roster. Right. Yeah. They're in a spot where they're turning over roster. Miami's at the end of their life cycle where they still have talent. They've shown they can play at a high. So this is a team that can play at a high caliber at any moment because they definitely have shown it. But it doesn't seem like they have much to play for. So I think the defense will look optically better than they probably are. We won't really probably see who this defense is until late and when they get really tested towards later in the season.
Yeah, I do have the rates real quick. Yards per pass had it. It is just a 2-week sample size, but the Bills defense has the 6th highest blitz rate through 2 weeks and has the highest sack percentage in the league right now.
Justin Fields has a lot to do with that.
Yeah.
I'll take it. And like I said, it's not easy to get to Lamar, and they did get to him and hit him a couple times.
Yeah. Although Lamar gets a lot of sacks and hits, he makes the explosive plays too, but
correct.
He gets himself
makes up for some of the crazy ones.
Yes, he makes himself into trouble. So yeah, it's a weird, murky spot right now, and I don't know that we'll have an answer anytime soon. You look ahead on the schedule.
I would say it would be concerning if we didn't. So I think there's reason to be optimistic that this could continue. We need to see it continue to feel really confident against the good teams when it really matters. But I think what we've seen is there is potential. We haven't even seen Michael Hoyt and Larry Ogunjobi, who I think both have a good track record of pass rush support. So having just more rotational guys that when the top guys come out, there's not as big of a drop off. I think more of that if we're healthy when it comes time, we've at least shown the capacity to do this. So I think there's reason for optimism there, but we still need to see it when it matters.
It's going to be even better when they make the trade for Dexter Lawrence of what they're going to be able to do. Right.
Yeah, obviously is big things to come.
For sure.
All right, guys. Appreciate it, Colin. Thank you for the chat. Everyone has been fantastic tonight. Big thank you to our guest, Tom Ernisse from DolphinsTalk. Always appreciative of our sponsor, Southern Tier Brewing Company and William Mattar Law Offices. But on behalf of fantastic producer Colin Ritchie, my lovely partner in crime, Aaron Quinn, I am your host, Greg Tompsett. You've been listening to Cover One Buffalo, and we are